knowledge, guts, bravery, ability, tactics, spirit, luck. These are the traits that set a Pokemon Master apart from the average trainer. And there is no greater test of these qualities than Pokemon Emerald's Battle Frontier. Designed as a theme park for Pokemon battling, trainers from all over the world gather here to prove they have what it takes to become a Pokemon Master. 7 facilities, each offering a unique challenge that will put your skills to the test. These facilities are led by the 7 Frontier Brains, who will ultimately determine if you possess the qualities of a Master. By conquering each of the Frontier Brains, you will be rewarded with a symbol of your efforts, proof that you are indeed capable. It has always been a dream of mine to complete the Battle Frontier. When I played Pokemon Emerald as a kid, it absolutely kicked my butt to the point where it scared me away from attempting it again for about 2 decades. The Battle Frontier is no joke. I consider myself to be pretty good when it comes to Pokemon, but even I can recognize that this is probably beyond my capabilities. There is so much time you have to invest into crafting the ultimate team, only for it to be utterly useless when the game pairs you against an opponent who's holding a Bright Powder, so all of your Earthquakes miss 10 times in a row and you lose. Look, it's no secret. The Battle Frontier cheats. Anyone who has ever attempted it will tell you about the time the game put them in an unfair situation, causing them to lose hours of progress. It is such a soul-crushing experience, and that's probably why they haven't included a Battle Frontier in any game since Gen 4. So you may be wondering why I'm even talking about it. Well, over the past several months, I've been playing through the Gen 3 Pokemon games. Just this year, I've played through Fire Red, Leaf Green, Colosseum, and Emerald. Revisiting these games has been a blast. I even had my first ever successful Gen 3 Shiny Hunt. While playing through these games, I started watching another YouTuber, Nostalgic Nighthawk, who has been slowly documenting their Gen 3 experience over the last several years. If you're looking for content on the Game Boy Advance era Pokemon games, definitely check out this channel. It is so interesting to hear their thought process when coming up with new team ideas. One thing that really stood out to me is that he's taken on the Battle Frontier using Pokemon he thinks are cool.
Yeah, look how cool Rhydon is. Skarmory is cool. Like, Steelix is cooler. I don't know, they're all pretty cool. Claydol is so cool. Oh, even this one seems cool. Claydol's cool. That is a cool shark Pokemon. Oh, such a cool Pokemon. The Shiny's also cool too. He's such a cool Pokemon. It's just like really cool dragons. Anyway, Blaziken's cool. Anyway, cool. It's a cool Pokemon.
And is actually finding some decent success. This is ultimately what inspired me to take on the Battle Frontier challenge for myself. And I'm not going to do it with the Pokemon that everyone says are optimal. Yeah, Pokemon like Starmie, Swampert, Latios, Milotic, they're all incredible for the Battle Frontier. But I'm a firm believer that honestly, if you're willing to put in enough effort, you could beat the Battle Frontier with pretty much any Pokemon. It might not be easy, and there'll probably be some significant challenges along the way, but I'm going to complete the Battle Frontier using only Pokemon that I like, regardless of whatever is considered optimal. So right now, I'm still working on putting a team together, and it's gonna be a while before I'm ready to start testing it out. That being said, there is one facility in the Battle Frontier where you don't actually need to bring any of your own Pokemon. So I figured while I work on building my team, I'm going to attempt to complete the Battle Factory. In the single battle mode, you're given a choice from 3 of 6 random Pokemon that you'll have to use against other random teams. Every time you beat an opponent, you're given the choice of whether or not you want to swap one of your own team members for a Pokemon that was on the opposing team. Whenever you win a round of 7 battles in a row, you pick a new team and start over again with increasingly stronger Pokemon. On the 21st battle, you face off against the Frontier Brain Factory Head Noland, who will also use a random team as per the rules of the factory. Beating him here rewards you with the silver knowledge symbol, but it's not over yet. On the 42nd battle in a row, you must defeat Noland one final time, upgrading your knowledge symbol to gold. I'm gonna come out and say it, the Battle Factory can be brutally unfair. If you're given a poor selection of Pokemon at the beginning of a round, you can pretty much say goodbye to your win streak. However, after doing a bit of research, I found some tips that will make the Battle Factory slightly more possible. If you're interested in taking on the factory yourself, I recommend checking out YouTuber LRXC. They have incredible guides about how the Battle Factory works and which Pokemon you should look out for while climbing to the top. One of the best things I learned is how exactly stats work. Due to a glitch, by having a 0 win streak in the Battle Tower, most opponents you fight will only have IVs of 3 in each stat. Meanwhile, the more times you switch your team members for an opponent's Pokemon, the more of your Pokemon you pick at the beginning of a round will have perfect stats. So the idea is that you switch whenever you can at the lower rounds, and then stop later on when your Pokemon have better stats. Also, until you hit 28 wins, all your opponent's moves will be randomly selected, and all their movesets are predetermined and predictable. It's only after you get to Battle 29 where the AI gets better at picking its moves, and the opponent might have one of several movesets. I'm paraphrasing a bit, so if you want more in-depth information, definitely check out LRXC. After studying for a bit on how the Battle Factory works, I made my first attempt, not expecting to get very far. To my surprise, the earlier rounds were a lot easier than I remember them being, and I quickly grew my win streak until finally I hit Battle 21 against Noland, where I decided to start recording. My team at this point was a special attacking Delcatty with Fake Tears, Sing, Thunderbolt, and Ice Beam, a Cloyster with Dive, Protect, Toxic, and Double Team, and a Linoon with Trick, Frustration, Thunder Wave, and Sand Attack. Overall, not the best team defensively, a fighting type would probably destroy me. Noland led with Gligar, which Delcatty's Ice Beam made short work of. Next up was Furret, who was able to defeat Delcatty, but ultimately was defeated when it tried to go for Follow Me against Cloyster. Okay, so at this point, things were looking good. I had 2 Pokemon left with full health, and he was down to his last, a Metang. Honestly, I was feeling pretty confident. I switched out into Linoon because I wanted to perform some shenanigans with Trick, and this was probably a mistake. I was hoping it would be stuck with Scary Face, but I ended up locking Metang into Stab, Choice Band, Meteor Mash. Linoon was able to get the paralysis off before it succumbed to another Meteor Mash, leaving me with just Cloyster. Since Metang is immune to poison, my only option to damage it is to use Dive, which doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Fortunately, Cloyster's defense is super high, so it's unlikely that... Alright, new plan. Meteor Mash only has 10 PP, so hopefully we can stall it out with Protect, Dive, and Double Team. I was able to use Double Team twice, but it turns out that didn't matter because Metang was able to connect its Meteor Mashes at every opportunity it got, and the damage was brutal. Thankfully, even with an attack boost, Cloyster is still... One more Meteor Mash would be the end of our run, and right in the nick of time, Metang finally started to struggle. At that point, a couple dives were enough to finish off Metang and reward us with the silver knowledge symbol. But I wasn't satisfied yet. I needed the gold. Unfortunately, tragedy struck on Battle 33 when a Wailord used Amnesia and Curse a bunch to the point where I could not damage it. My first attempt at the Battle Factory ended there, but I wasn't ready to give up. Starting with my second attempt, I live streamed my whole experience, and I'll put the link to that in the description if you want to watch the whole unedited version. My second run through the factory started off fine, but after getting a less than ideal selection of Pokemon in the 3rd round, a Grumpig pretty much swept my entire team on Battle 15. So I threw myself at the Battle Factory again, and this run was pretty good. Don't get me wrong, there were plenty of moments where I felt like we were about to lose. Hopefully we have enough special attack that kills. It doesn't. I do think we have to... Okay, that was really close. We do outspeed. And I think this is a 2-hit KO. This is gonna hurt. Thank God I just checked we aren't choice banded. Please kill this thing. Thank you, Kangaskhan. And finally, for the first time in my life, I made it to a gold symbol battle. My team at this point was Espeon with Psychic, Bite, Wish, and Reflect. Rhydon with Mega Horn, Crush Claw, Earthquake, and Horn Drill. And Kangaskhan with Mega Kick, Earthquake, Aerial Ace, and Shadow Ball. Like before, Noland is using a team of random Pokemon, but this time they all have perfect stats. He starts off with Flygon. I assumed it was going to use Earthquake, so I set up a Reflect that would hopefully mitigate some of the damage, which it does. After nearly being knocked out by a second Earthquake, Espeon steals the first kill with a Psychic. Next up is Slacking, which can be dangerous. I decided I wanted to save Espeon for later, so I switched out into Rhydon, predicting like a normal type move. However, Slacking ended up using Brick Break, which makes sense because we had a Reflect up and Espeon's health was low enough to the point that it would have been knocked out anyway. Luckily, Rhydon was able to land a critical hit with Earthquake, giving Espeon the opportunity to come in for a revenge kill. And with that, Noland sent out his final Pokemon, Clefable. After launching another massive Psychic at Clefable, Espeon was finally knocked out, leaving me with just Kangaskhan. All it took was a single hit from Mega Kick to finish off Clefable, and Noland along with it. With that, I was able to obtain my first ever Gold Frontier symbol, the Knowledge symbol. Overall, I would say the Battle Factory is much more complex than it appears at first glance. It requires an absurd amount of luck to get a high win streak, but for the best chance at success, you're going to want to research exactly how the factory works and which opponents you may possibly encounter. Like the Knowledge symbol's namesake suggests, the Battle Factory is a true test of a trainer's understanding of Pokemon. It's gonna be a little while before I'm ready to attempt the next facility. Honestly, really wasn't expecting to beat the Battle Factory on my third attempt. As soon as I have a team put together, I'm gonna live stream my experience, so if you want to keep up with my progress, be sure to subscribe and be on the lookout for when I go live. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.